Hey guys, Sean Bougie, surplusfundsriches.net. If you guys could let me know you can hear and see me okay, I'll go forward from there. Looks like we've got a lot of people already jumping in. Just if you would, in the chat section, please don't use the question and answer section, use the chat. It's private, it'll come straight to me. We'll highlight them as the questions come in. Jeff's moderating this now. I'm Sean Bougie. And we will be able to keep track. But for now, I just need to know you can hear and see me okay. And we can go from there. Augustus says yes. All right. So what I'm going to do, guys, visuals and sound are good. That's good. We can hear and see you. Okay, good. Hey, Connie, Richard, Chris, Augustus, and Jake, and Christopher. Okay, guys. And Daryl and Albert. Okay. Randy and Cheryl, here we go. Guys, I'm going to shut this down for just a second. We've got a couple of housekeeping items first, and then we'll go from there. But let me shut down chat. Doesn't mean you're kicked off or anything. All right, so I will bring chat right up here in just a moment. A couple things I need to cover for housekeeping. One is always check the resources page, guys. Took Jeff and I years to figure out how to get this down to a real solid science where everything's very fluid, very efficient and streamlined. Always check the resources page. That's where we're going to put updates. I would check that at least a couple times a week if you guys, especially those of you all that are submitting stuff to us on a consistent basis. We keep updates on there. By the way, one of the recent concerns we got, sorry, I need to turn this off. One of the recent criticisms we got was you keep updates up and we date them, but we keep them up for forever, even if they're currently outdated. Well, we do that. It's all about transparency with Jeff and I. We do the same thing with old videos online. I do occasionally get somebody say, hey man, are you still doing this? Because I ran across a video that was 10 years old. Yeah, but there was one that's 3 days old. You know what I mean? So we can't win with that. We'd rather keep that up to speed so you guys can see the progression of any changes we've made over time. And because as we launch new books, that's the central way to get updates on any book. New minimums, Florida and national surplus. These are two major changes. Those of you guys have been paying attention to the resources page have seen. One is Florida. It changes to minimums, guys. Look, last couple of months, the average surplus funds retrieval has gone from 25 grand to over $45,000. Okay. So we're taking the national up to 20,000. That's the minimum to turn it in, guys. The effect on you is going to be nothing. Trust me. And then Florida is going to be 17,500. The other issue with that obviously is what we're trying to do is make enough per deal to cover the difference in what we have to pay our staff. We're affected just like everybody else. I have a full-time crew. You guys know what's happened to wages, and we would rather up the minimum a little bit so we can get a slightly higher profit as far as dollar amount per deal than have to go up on the price of the ebook. That's our main concern right now. And like I said, you should see really no impact at all from that. The new worksheets are also on there. Jeff recently did some worksheets depending on the program you have. Double check that, please. I know that he's let people kind of slide for a little while, and now he's starting to say, hey, you should have checked this, because it's been over 8 days since that was posted. Those of you guys that are buying bundles, a lot of you guys have been really smart. You're buying bundles because you get a lot more. You get a couple of different programs, at least a couple of different, depending on what you buy. Obviously different opportunities for you to work. Make sure you just get one down at a time, though. Even if you get the bundle, that's going to help you quite a bit. And again, obviously, the bigger the bundle, the better deal you get. I mean, that's just how it is. If you look at a per course cost. Those of you guys, if you did give a wrong phone number when you signed up, I know we sent you an email, obviously, for this. If you gave a wrong phone number, first of all, you can unsubscribe from text just like you can from emails, right? I mean, and I can't go around that. I'll get banned from sending stuff out. It's that simple. But I'm telling you, if you gave the wrong phone number, put the right one in, because every once in a while on these webinars, when we do the announcement of an upcoming one, we don't use email, we use text. It's very rare now. We try to stay out of you guys' hair with that, but you may very well miss webinars or the opportunity to come to a webinar. If you gave us a wrong number, no problem. Go to surplusfundsriches.net, surplusfundsriches.net. Go on there, and there should be a box on the main page where you can sign in for more information, where you can click on products, check out the products. It'll make you put your name, email, and phone in. Just make sure you have the right one in there. That way you're not going to miss any notifications. Obviously, if you've gotten notifications from us in the past, you've via text, obviously you gave us the right number, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, I'm going to go to chat real quick and open this up. By the way, wow. Ebony, let me know if I didn't pronounce that correctly. Michael, Rafaela, Miguel, and of course, Jeff's here as well. Is checking it. This is a different Jeff. All right, guys, the chat's back open. Any and all questions you got? I saw from looking at the emails earlier, quite a few of you are new. Just so you know, if you need to call me with pre-purchase, not post-purchase, don't call me if you're worried about the book. We use support through Jeff. That's email-based, ticket-based. He gets back really quick. And he could be the Jimmy Johns of this, right? Freaky fast. I say that he has 3 business days to get back to you. He usually gets back within 1. But he has that if he needs it, if we get flooded with a lot of questions, particularly on new programs. But definitely use the email support if you have any questions that are actual program application questions, okay? And you can call me if you haven't purchased yet. Go to the products page, surplusfundsriches.net. Click on products, put the information in. It'll drop you on the products page. Once you are there on the products page, if you scroll down to the bottom, there's an overview of all of our programs. Obviously, like I said, the bigger bundle you get, the less it costs you per course. So it's obviously better deals as you go up. But I understand that some people have restrictions on what they can spend, and I get that and respect that. All right, so good. Don't use the question and answer, please, section. And I need you guys to fire away questions. Look, this is your opportunity to ask any question. Also, being a part of a community is a big deal. Usually if you come to these, someone's going to ask a question that you didn't think of, and that's going to make all the difference for you. One of the questions we got, since I'm waiting on you guys, I know there's a delay between when I ask for questions and when I usually get them. One of the questions I got recently was, what if the claimant is out of the country? We still use notaries. We got one recently in, I believe it was Guatemala, and using a passport with the court is absolutely fine. We had to jump through some hoops because the notaricia, I think they're called down there, needed us to sign something saying we're allowed to actually send the money overseas or international wire. She wanted to wire the money to her to get it done. We had to jump through some hoops. Obviously, sending it overnight isn't really overnight down there, but we moved as quickly as we could. But she had to actually get an okay for us to send the package back with the notaries. It was kind of a bizarre situation. So any and all questions, guys, now's your opportunity. There is no such thing as a stupid question. And this is your chance. Jeff's moderating, so this is your chance to ask any question at all. Also, I see now, Jeff must have put it up. We are sharing a file that's a PDF. That's going to be probably the Insider's Guide, which goes over all the programs and has additional information as well. So you want to jump on that. Let's see where we are here. So the file sharing is there. You can download straight off of that. Oh, good. All right, we've got a good crew in here. Let's see what we got. All right, guys, time to hit the chat. I'm not going to stick around. You need to ask questions. Congratulations. Also, let me see if I can find who we sent one. We just got one granted. I got up with a gentleman, David L. Was the researcher, $63,000 in Ohio. Good job, David. It just got granted, which means we're probably about 2 to 3 weeks out, because the difference between getting on the docket and getting it granted and getting paid out is fairly quickly up there. Congrats to you. Got a couple in the hopper from Louisiana, Texas, North and South Carolina, Georgia, California, which we don't do a whole lot of those. Just because of the weird thing with the timing as far as when you can make claims on stuff. But we've got one at the wire, guys. We weren't going to be able to claim it as of July 13th, and we're going to get this to the court around the 6th. So really under the wire on that one. We do move very, very quickly. Obviously, Texas, we've done a lot. Minnesota, Missouri, Kansas City, Pennsylvania. We've done Virginia, West. I don't think we've had a West Virginia yet, but we've been all over the place. So any and all questions. Also remember, guys, we do deed flips. A lot of people like doing that too, going after the property, and we use our money to buy the property. And we pay you a percentage of the net when we successfully get the money out of the court. That's a big deal. We've been extremely successful with that. I'm guessing, given the way things are going, the average deal we're going to put together on a deed flip, which is buying property pre-tax foreclosure, the average deal is going to probably jump from 30 to 45,000. That is a very big deal. That's going to make a huge difference because our national deed flip, we pay 15% of the net, so around $6,000 on average. And on the deed flip 30, we pay 30%. If somebody also, if the researcher also calls the people to make sure they got the right person and are willing to talk to us about selling. So that one's going to be a big deal too at $12,000. But guys, any and all questions, fire away. I'm also going to see if Jeff can throw something up here if he has any knows of any recent questions we've gotten. We really need you guys to ask questions. This is your opportunity to pick our brain. Hey, you know what? I'll even issue a little challenge out there to you. Try to stump us. Try to come up with something on us. I will say I got an interesting person that gave me an interesting question today. He wanted to work a California deal, and he wanted to work it right after the foreclosure happened. His point was that California does not technically have a tax sale redemption. They wait the 1 year. Yes, there will be a replay, Michelle. They wait the 1 year. California does. They wait the 1 year before they'll grant people to get the money, to get the surplus funds in California. However, and yes, there is really not a redemption period. A lot of people are misunderstood that. I looked it up again on NOLO just to double check, but there's a lot of different ways people can challenge the sale and get it rescinded. So that's why we wait until closer to the end of the 1 year period to make the claim on that. Oh, Rita, what are your thoughts on foreclosure? Thank you, guys. Finally, we're seeing some questions here. This is great. What are your thoughts on foreclosures that are coming? A couple things, guys. So obviously inflation is dampening quite a bit right now. However, mortgage applications have gone up in the last month or two. I do think that what we're really going to see is a continuation of what we have, which was increasing surplus funds amounts and quite a bit of opportunity. I think in about 3 to 5 years, you're going to start seeing the tax assessors really, jacking up the value of property because it's been doubling in value. And I think that's going to cause both tax and mortgage overage for 2 reasons. One, the tax overage is going to be, taxes are going to double, right? So people that are only paying taxes on property are now going to see that double, and we're going to see more people get into trouble with that. I do think we need the inventory, frankly, and I don't want to see anybody lose their house. I don't want to see that, but it's going to happen, and it's a natural part of the cycle. As far as the mortgage foreclosures, we're also going to see an uptick in that. And the reason that's simple is mortgage foreclosures escrow the tax payment. In other words, they add that into the payment people make for mortgages, and that means the mortgage payments are going to go up. We have seen growth in wages. It's not quite keeping up with inflation. Inflation obviously is insidious, and that's kind of an issue here. So we'll see what happens. I do think we're going to see more foreclosures in the coming year than we have in a while, but it's going to be a nice even trend. You're not going to see this huge boom or bust thing. I know a lot of people, guys, I just did, if you go to our, look up our YouTube channel, okay, Surplus Funds Riches, all one word. You can search by that, or MR, Mr. Deed Flip, all one word. MRDEEDFLIP. Either one of those, if you look it up, you'll see it. I just did a video on the fact that we are not in a real estate bubble. Ken, for the Florida Deed Flip, I've sent in since April when I first started working the program. I'm excited about 9-to-5 job. I love the program. It's a really great program. Thanks. However, how long does it usually take? So Ken, from the time we put a deed flip under contract, first of all, we're going to call it, guys, we always contact you guys. Usually it's email because you sign the independent contractor agreement after you buy. Which by the way, just says, hey, we are definitely paying you what we agreed to on that program. You know, that way it can be used for every program. You don't have to do an independent contractor agreement for every program. So anyway, you guys will be notified when we put one under contract. And at that point, you'll be given a time frame. Usually the deed flips go very quickly. Daryl, given hindsight, which program would you focus on? So Daryl, I'm still sticking to my guns as far as, first of all, surplus funds have surpassed every projection I've made. Okay. And they continue to do that because the market remains strong. Mortgage applications last week actually went up after the Fed raised the rates, and mortgage rates have doubled. That's because it's right. Zig Ziglar always says that fear of loss always outweighs the desire for gain. We have a lot of different factors coming in right now. I'm going to move through this quickly because we have a lot of questions backing up. But we have a lot of different factors. One is a lot of people don't, you guys out there don't realize that. First of all, 65 and older in the United States, 65 and older people, they have a 78.6% home ownership rate. It's almost 80%. That's unheard of. They are not selling their homes. They're sticking with them because they don't have a place to go. You can't find starter homes anymore, or they can't move down to a smaller one. So as a result of that, inventory of existing homes is staying low. Okay. At the same time, you have millennials that are getting older. They're getting married. They want the white picket fence. They are very risk tolerant, and only 37% of them own homes. So we have a lot of room for them to own. So we've got all this demand pressure, and we've got this squeezing of supply. New construction, a lot of the new construction builders just recently started building again because they were waiting on pricing to come down a lot. And hey, just around me, a couple of counties have shut down building permits because the demand's so high they can't provide the utilities for the new homes. So there's going to continue to be a really strong demand. Do I think we're going to see another year of 15%? I do not. I don't think we're going to see that in appreciation. However, I didn't expect to see 15% this May versus last May. I think it's going to settle down to 5 to 7%. Still great appreciation, guys. Sean, saw your video last week from September 2021 on tax lien investing. Some guys trying to sell just this program for $1,997. I know, Jim. And then not only that, the tax lien investing programs, not only are those going for $2,000, but the surplus funds programs are going for $2,000, and so are the flipping programs. And you know what? In the flipping programs, they're teaching people how to use assignments. Assignments and subject to contracts, which have been dead since the 80s. That's Carlton Sheets kind of stuff, man. Suzette Jackson, for the BK, when creditor and debtor is the same, what form is required? We tell you actually not to work that, Suzette, I believe. On YouTube, you mentioned something about surplus funds. Suzette, surplus funds is a completely different program. The BK Gold Mine is dealing with money that's being left in the bankruptcy court, has nothing to do with surplus funds or foreclosures. It's where creditors did not end up getting their check after a bankruptcy. Albert, I'm working on overage in Newcastle, Delaware. Tried to verify the funds, but person I contacted refused to give me the info. I know you work that area. Any tips to help me would be great. So Albert, read the resources page carefully. I believe Jeff has put something in there to the effect of, as long as you can verify the age of the list, and if it's within a certain time period, it may be 60 days. Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong. And at that point, we'll take that. Okay. Timothy, hey, Sean, Jim, how's it going in your thought? Going great. I'm blown away by the average, again, Jim, of surplus funds right now, the average deal we're putting together. I see this increasing dramatically as we go. I also think there are a lot more people out there hanging on by their nails with gas going up and all that, just by their fingernails just hanging on there. So I think the buyout it continues to be extremely competitive, the buyout method we use. Aaron, when doing the title search, when the status says active, does that mean the surplus is there, or I still need to call? Again, Aaron, check the resources page. I think there's a rule on that on the age of the list. So I'll let Jeff jump in here. Let's see if I can come back here in a minute. Chris, what are some strategies you use for stopping foreclosure, and are those provided in any of the trainings? So Chris, what we do is most of our programs go after pre-tax sale. National Deed Flip and Deed Flip 30 go after pre-tax sale. And the way we stop the foreclosure is we get the deed from the owner, quitclaim deed, record that. As soon as we record it, of course, we do a last minute debt check to make sure there wasn't additional judgments or anything that are going to hinder us. Then we pay off the taxes to stop the sale. It's really that simple. Then we send the check to the owner. There's no BS. There's no, crazy sovereign citizen thing or anything we use like that. We pay off the taxes to stop the sale. Same thing with mortgage if we're working on that. Ken, I know there's no standard time frame. Ken, again, I think you've asked this already. So, Augustus, is Arkansas and Mississippi a good place for tax overages? I haven't seen a whole lot there. Augustus, look, here's the deal, guys. Here's the deal. Okay, just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean it's not there. I mean, we got Louisiana for the first time this last year. Those are parishes instead of counties. Didn't know that we could get them there or not. Wherever you get a list, work it. It's national online from home. Don't get caught up in working on one state or the other. Timothy, chat just opened for me. Awesome. Rafaela, do you have to submit 20 deals before we get paid? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You can submit one deal. Now, the chance of you getting paid submitting one deal is pretty slim, right? I mean, some people die. Some people are already working with somebody. I mean, there's a million different variables, but no, you don't have to submit 20 deals before you get paid. There is you can request an update on your files. We always contact you when we're under contract, of course, immediately, but you can request an update whenever you want. You get a response within by the end of the following month. There's a system put in place, and that requires that you've turned in 20 deals. And let me tell you why we do that. People were turning in 3 deals and then just asking for updates forever after that. Guys, you got to work. You got to keep your pipeline full. So that's kind of the magic number for us. Or say, if I work on a file independently and hire my lawyer, can I do this for a Florida property? I read in the ebook that I would not be able to work independently in Florida. Is that correct? And why? Thanks. So, or say, here's the problem what we found in Florida. First of all, if you've got an attorney down there in Florida, right? We always have a central attorney, and that central attorney hires local attorneys wherever we're doing the retrieval. So you're going to need an attorney down there. The thing that you're going to run into in Florida that we found, that's why it's primarily a researcher program, is the way we do this is we use a structured buyout. If you don't do that, or say, you're going to get in trouble down there. They used to have surplus trustees. You've got to use a structured buyout like we do. 10% of the gross amount being held by the court we do it within 2 weeks after they sign our documents. And then the rest of whatever we agree to on the back end, you've got to use a structured buyout, and you have to have an attorney, especially in the mortgage overage side. We prefer it on both. We always hire an attorney on both. But here's the deal. There's a lot of the attorneys down there will not use their IOLTA account, their trust account, to cash the check. See, we're getting out, our attorneys get it out in the claimant's name, and then they deposit it in a trust account, take the money out they're owed, and send it on to us, and we make final payment to researcher and sometimes the attorney. They just send it. Researcher as well as the attorneys. Guys, in Florida, most of them will not use their trust account. They're going to have to send the check out that's made out to the claimant. Since we have a central attorney, we can take care of that. Plus, even if we didn't, we have a special provision with our bank where we are allowed to cash third-party checks with certain documentation. You're not going to be able to do that. Trust me. That took a gaggle of attorneys and years to get that done. So that's what you're going to run into, or say you're welcome to give it a shot. Juanita or Janita, I bought the Ultimate Pro Bundle 16. I think you bought the Ultimate Bundle. I want to start with a BK, but is that a program I work on my own? Yes, it's a program. The BK Goldmine is a program you work on your own. Is support still available if I have questions? Absolutely. It's built right into the book. It tells you how to do that. Guys, here's the thing I get from people that bought programs or books before. They want to call me and go, hey, does this program do? Read it. That's what I'm going to tell you. Read it. Yes, it does. That's covered in the ebook. Yes, it does. It's covered in the ebook. You're going to have to read it, guys. They're not long ebooks and there's no fluff. Daryl, has COVID restrictions impacted his business? They did last year, Daryl. It slowed us down quite a bit on some of the courts, but since then, it's been wide open. In fact, let me tell you what it helped us with. There's 2 or 3 states that helped us where the states started allowing our attorneys to use Zoom meetings to make motions to get the money out. So it actually sped us up in a couple of different states. Has the new, NC overages process been completed? If so, is there a download on the new process? Has the new NC overage? I don't understand what you're asking me, Jake. Timothy, ARMs are starting to make a comeback. Absolutely, because buyers are stupid and don't realize the low interest rate is subject to the interest rates, which are going to be rising. Timothy, I agree with you. I would never do an ARM. I would never tell people to do an ARM. Any new updates we posted on the resources page to answer your question, Jake? So ARMs are starting to make a comeback in this market because buyers are stupid. Well, look, Timothy, if you've got a buyer that knows they're in a job where they're going to make considerably more money in the future, I understand why they're making the bet. Okay. They're making the bet on an ARM, which is an adjustable rate mortgage, that they come in at what is that now? 30 or 4.5 instead of 6. So I get why they do that. I don't agree with it either. But, some of the rumbling we're hearing now is the Fed is talking about possibly reversing back or taking back some of that interest rate increase. So who knows how we're going to go with that. Yes, ARMs are making a huge comeback right now. The other thing that's making a comeback, Timothy, is people are buying the rates down again. This is the mortgage. This is not a change. This has been the same for 30 years. Mortgage companies, they know how to keep the party going. Nick, when contacting previous owners, what is the breakdown by percentage when contacting by phone, email, text, etc.? So I'm going to assume you mean what's more effective and that type of thing. So looking at previous owners, Nick, a couple things. So we send a takeaway letter and do a takeaway script on voicemail if we haven't been able to get in touch with them, and that lights the phone up. That's where we basically tell them, hey, I've been trying to reach you. Don't know why you're not reaching us back. At this point, we're going to see if maybe there's another creditor that might be entitled to the funds instead of you, and we'll work with them instead. We appreciate you taking the call. Let us know if you change your mind and want to give us a call. The phone fires up. We also really hit a lot of now mailing has been really successful, and believe it or not only with the takeaway letter, but we send mailings out immediately to not only the possible claimant, but also their possible relatives and associates. So we do a blitz. Guys, just so you know, I'm going through 2,500 stamps a month, just keeping up with this. And I can't, if you saw our call rate, it's blistering. You'd be blown away. I just purchased national surplus and bankruptcy. How do I submit deals living in Florida? Florida is a separate program, D, that's explained on the purchase page. You don't have to submit deals in Florida. You can submit them anywhere. You don't have to submit deals from where you're at. Work North or South Carolina, Georgia, good Lord, Ohio, Tennessee, Montana, Texas, California, wherever the heck you want to work. Don't worry about just working in Florida. Work wherever you can get a list. You've got national, so you can work 46 states. The only states we want to take are Oregon, Washington State, and Colorado. And Florida is a separate program that's available only in bundles. So I would definitely work national surplus. And like I said, work all over the country. Doesn't matter. Albert, for overages in Texas, I think I heard you say on a webinar, the minimum is 30 grand. Is that correct? I'm going to let Jeff weigh in on that. I believe, however, Albert, guys, you really need to listen to me. Go to your resources page. Whenever we do updates, they're on there. D, can I still send deals to the National Surplus Program and get the higher commission if I contact the customer and get permission for you to contact them? D, you have to have the Premier 16 to get 16%. You have to buy that other program. It has different submissions rates on that, and it's just a completely different way of doing it, the way we set up the scripts and all that. So you're going to have to get the Premier 16 program if you want to start trying to submit on a 16% basis and skip trace mail and call the people yourself. Timothy, what do you think about the fact that the BRIC countries of Brazil, India, Russia, and China are introducing a world reserve currency for oil markets, which is intended to replace the dollar? Your thoughts on what will occur? I'm not going to go too deep in that, Timothy. I'd like to stay. Yeah, there you go. Jeff responded to Albert, Texas is a 30 grand minimum. That's because the attorneys are crazy expensive. Listen, if I can get an attorney more reasonable down there, we will take another look at that. What do you think about the fact that the BRIC, the reserve? I'm not going to go too deep into that, Timothy. I would say if you really want in-depth information on BRIC and the world reserve currency for oil, I would take a look. First of all, I think they've got a shot, just so you know. But I would go to ArmstrongEconomics.com and sign up for his newsletter, and he'll cover. Trust me, this guy keeps you more involved with finance, the financial world, than anybody else. He predicted, believe it or not, the real estate crash, the viruses that came out. He predicted all that stuff. It's all historical cycles for him. There's no kind of crazy, conspiracy thing going on. But I would get up with him. That's going to go too far into the financial markets for this particular webinar. D, sorry, I was submitting questions to the YouTube channel, and I don't think that you get the questions on the YouTube channel. I do get quite all the questions if you submit questions. However, D, if you're asking post-purchase questions, you need to, after you've bought, you need to use support as outlined in your ebook. Shiran. Hey, Sean, I have the time flipping program. Is there a way to get a list of auction sales that are coming up 2 months down the line? The free lists that I'm finding are showing that sales are scheduled within a month or sooner. So, Shiran, you're getting caught up in work in a set area. You can get lists all over the place of upcoming foreclosures that have more time involved. You just need to look around. Yeah, you just need to look around on that. How do we negotiate with attorneys, and what work are they expected to do? D, I don't know if you bought the ebook. I did, especially in the National Surplus on the resources page. I talked about talking to attorneys. I will tell you that I tend to pay them extremely well. The frontline attorney can get 10% of the total gross retrieval. That's what I try to limit it to. Most of them are, if you're new and you're starting to hire attorneys, most of them don't know you. So they're going to request some upfront money to do that. Now, again, if you work our Premier 16 program or a National Surplus, we handle all that, But if you're going to do it on your own, first of all, yeah, if you're going to do it on your own, I typically don't pay more than 10% on a retrieval. It's just what I do. Now, granted, if you're going to go after $5,000 deals, good luck. You're going to pay like 30% on that retrieval. You're going to pay $1,500 a lot of times. Some of them have set fees. The way to find the attorneys is if you can actually see case files online and see what attorneys have petitioned for them. That's a great way to go. Another way is call the bar. Guys, everybody's scared to death of calling the court or calling the bar. They're there to help you. Call the bar and go, look, I need help with an attorney that has experience in surplus funds retrieval, excess proceeds retrieval, overages retrieval, whatever, and they'll help you. A lot of times the court won't tell you that. The county is afraid to refer people because it's kind of a strict rule in most of the counties. But the way I word that when I talk to them is I go, look, I know you can't refer somebody to me. Can you tell me the name of an attorney or two that's done claims? I won't consider it a referral. And, if you talk to these people nicely, you'll get a lot further than if you get all demanding and, Freedom of Information Act. Stop that, right? Just be nice. These people are getting treated like crap all day long. Be nice to them, and you'd be surprised how much information, how much help they'll give you. Is there a recession? Will the funds be depleted? If there is a recession, will the funds be depleted? Or will someone still be able to work this business? I have no idea what you mean, Michelle. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be smart aleck, but the funds be depleted. Are you saying would the average go down? Okay, so everything's about supply and demand right now. I don't think the average overage is going to go down. I just don't. And I think what you have to look at the percentage of homes that sold pre-pandemic, pre-2020 versus after. And I think what you'll see is there's a monstrous difference. Even though we had a heck of a little run there with sales, the majority of the homes still have a lot of equity in them. And I still think we're going to see appreciation as we go. Real estate is not directly tied to the economy. That's something you guys need to get into your heads. Not directly tied. And it moves usually slowly, except of course in 2008, that type of thing. But it tends to move slowly. That's why people, when they look at numbers, they look at the Case-Shiller reports, which are rolling averages, which take the last 3-month average. And the next month, it's the last 3 months, so that's why they use that. Previously, you stated the NC lists were hard to obtain, so you were testing a new process of NC, or did I hear this wrong? No, Jake, we know how to get NC lists. The problem with NC is this. The lists that you can get are lists of overages, both tax and mortgage, which is great, but they've already been sent to the state. So the county will give you that list, but it's already been sent to the state. So as a result, there's this monstrous delay in getting paid. Whenever anyone is working in North Carolina, I say, look, work North Carolina because there's nobody working it really, no competition. We can put a lot of it on contract, but understand that on the North Carolina deals, it's going to take forever to get paid. It's going to take anywhere from 6 to 9 months. And the reason is we're going to immediately petition at the county. It's going to be granted at the time we petition it. But then they have to tap the shoulder of the state and say, hey, guys, we granted this, send it back to us. And the state just takes forever to send it back to the county. So just so you know, I always recommend you work at least some North Carolina, just because, like I said, the conversion rate's higher, and it's easier for us to put deals together because nobody's working it. If you bought the program and you shoot me an email, I'll be happy to tell you what the list is called. Actually, I'm gonna put off on that. I'm gonna wait because I think we've been telling people to cool off on North Carolina for right now, simply because of that delay, and we're thinking it's going to get shorter in the future. Connie, what is the easiest state to work? Connie, I'll tell you the weird states. How about that? Because we've had people turn stuff in all over the place. Easiest state. There's not really an easiest. They all work pretty much the same. I mean, there are some benefits to working Florida. That's a separate program. You can only get that in bundles. There are some benefits to working other states. California is weird because some of the counties require that you pay for the Register of Deeds access to check the debt. And also it's weird because they wait a year before they'll actually grant any. They give you a year deadline, but at the end of the year, they'll look at any claims and grant the one they see fit to. So that's kind of weird with California. Connecticut, I believe it's only a 6-month period to claim. Michigan, all the counties hold their tax sales in usually February, March, and I think we have till mid to end of June. Yeah, NC is paused, but mid to end of June is when we have a deadline to claim in Michigan, and that's when they had the foreclosure in February, March. So really fast. There's some differences in Virginia because it's a Commonwealth state, just like Pennsylvania, so they give the counties a lot of leeway on how they do it. As far as mortgage overage lists, it's difficult to get them in Texas and in California because they allow the trustee, the attorney for the bank, to actually hold and disperse the money. So a little different with those, but as far as the easiest, I don't think there's like a clear winner here. They're all fairly easy because we're using attorneys and buyouts. Yeah, Michael, I'm sorry you're not getting sound. John, greetings, Sean. How do you deal with distressed homeowners who do not speak or understand English well, especially here in Florida? John, we have bilingual case managers. Jeff, the psychological aspect of this business is just important as the knowledge of how to do it. What does that happen to be in any of the courses? I love that you cover some of that. Yeah, Jeff, of course. Listen, the YouTube videos are nothing compared to the training videos that are available attached to the ebook. And we go into the takeaway. We go into how to send out the takeaway letters and the script. Like I said, Ziegler says it. People are more afraid of the fear of loss outweighs the desire for gain, and we use it to our advantage. It's a sales technique. It is the strongest closing. The takeaway close is the strongest close on the planet. Always has been. And that's covered on the video there. Jeff, let's see. Michelle, what's the guy's name again that you said predicts financial accuracy? It's not, okay, fair enough. I'll take that. ArmstrongEconomics.com. His name is Martin Armstrong. He's been called the forecaster. A movie was made about him. Nobody's been as accurate predicting. It's all about cycles and trends for him. It's not kind of some weird thing. He used to be the largest fund manager in the world. He knows what he's doing. Albert, on a deed, Albert, where the auction date is outside a month, should there be notice of sale in the records already? Should there be? It depends, Albert, by county. Some counties only throw that up at the last minute. It's going to be harder to work deed flips in counties that don't give you further than a month's notice. So it depends county to county. And if you're running into that, go to a different county, another state even. Thank you for the referral, Timothy. You're welcome. LOL, been reading both books and not finished yet. You got it, D. Hey, I'm not making fun. I appreciate the questions, okay? So please don't take anything personally. Michael, Sean, in your videos, you use the term structured buyout. What does this mean? And what would the alternative process if you were not doing a structured buyout? $1 million question. We do two things different than our competitors. We always use an attorney regardless of whether or not the state requires it. We tend to get paid faster as a result of that. The court takes us more seriously, and people are not going to go around us because they signed a power of attorney to an attorney. They also signed a structured buyout, which means that within 10 business days after I get their signed documents back, I give them 10% of the gross amount being held by the court up front at that 10-day period. During that 10 business day period, I'm having my attorney double check that you did the title work right, because I don't want to spend on a $150,000 retrieval. I don't want to spend $15,000 on an upfront, good faith, non-refundable earnest money payment I'm paying to this guy, and find out later that I can't get the funds. So I have the attorney always double check title work behind you guys. They also check for individual judgments that could be against the person. Having the attorney is great because I can usually spend only $100 for a non-certified title. They can hire the title person to do that. I don't do that, of course, till we're at this point. But what that does is it really does protect us. It protects my 10% investment. Look, guys, I still get in super lien states like Florida and some other ones. If an HOA comes in, they don't even have a judgment, but they say, hey, we're owed this, the court will believe them. So I do take some risks still. But I give them 10% up front, and then the rest of whatever we agree to on the back end, I'm on the hook for the attorney. Okay. So if something goes sideways on it, which again is very rare, but if something goes sideways, that's on me. And that's why people sign up with us. Imagine it's $50,000 retrieval. And I go, look, within 10 business days, 2 weeks, pretty much, right? Within 10 business days, you're going to be getting a check from me for $5,000. And then I'll pay you the rest of whatever we agreed to on the back end. Sometimes it's 50, 60%, whatever it is. I'll give you the rest of that later. I'm going to be on the hook for 10% to the attorney and another 8 to 16% to research. I typically, Mr. Johnson, make half of what you make, and I incur all the costs and take all the risks. And by the way, you're getting a nice juicy check in 10 business days. That tends to make us competitive. Nobody else is doing that. Okay, thanks, Jeff and Sean. That cleared it up. That's Jake. Okay, William, thanks for starring these things, Jeff. You got it. Narenda, also submitting 3 files under one system, will it open for other systems? All right, I think what you mean, Narenda, is once you've reached the 3 file mark that we've accepted, and then at that point, see, the way we do it, guys, is you turn in 1 file. At first, you turn in 1 file at a time for a program. Once we've accepted 3, which means they show up on our list, our accepted files list or active files list. Once they show up on that list, you know you got it. And you turn 1 at a time as you see that. Once you've hit 3, it's unlimited. However, if you're moving to another program, that starts over because the programs are different from one to another. The reason we throttle you guys back, again, you can turn in 100. Somebody on here is going to go, oh my God, it's only going to turn in 3. No, you turn in 100. Just after the first 3, you got to do 1 at a time for the first 3. If you're going to work another program, then that program, you're going to have to start with the 3 as well. It's a different training situation with that different program. The other thing we found is that in the past, if we throttle you back like this, where we say, hey, 1 at a time till you hit 3, that is going to allow you to get it down, and you're not going to turn in 10 right out of the chute. And we say, hey, you made some mistakes. That's okay. You're going to make mistakes, guys. You're learning a new system. You're going to make mistakes. And that being the case, if you turn in 10 at a time, we say you got problems, all 10 of them, here's how you got to fix it. You're going to get discouraged to go away. We don't want that we don't want that problem to happen. D, what program do I need to buy in order to work Florida? You're going to have to get a bundle. D, I think the cheapest one with Florida in it. And again, this is how we limit Florida because it's one state, right? So we keep competition really reasonable down there. It'd be the best program is the cheapest one at $897. But D, again, come on, 46 states you can work. Amani, greetings. Hello. Bundles that include Florida are best of the best. The gold, best of the best is $897. Gold, I think, is $997. And diamond is, I think, $2297. Diamond has a crazy amount of courses in it, and also, I believe, gives you a voucher for any new courses that we launch, which is kind of cool. Do I have to wait for you to accept 1 file before you accept the other 2? Hey, Gail, yeah. As soon as you see that we accepted the file, now you can turn in the second one. Once you see we accept that, you can turn in 3rd. After that, you can turn in 1,000 files. I don't care. But the first 3 are throttled back to keep it nice and even. Also, when you do a submission, I changed it. And by the way, guys, I'm sorry. I know it's driving you crazy. But the paperwork email, the submission email, I know you're getting auto emails and it's driving you nuts. Just ignore them after you read that in its entirety the first time. It takes care of a lot of the issues we've had. We had people going back and forth with Kathy. Guys, we got to keep this thing streamlined and efficient. And people go, oh, could you check on that? No, it's on the list. We're good. So anyway, that auto email is going to drive you nuts. Just ignore it after you've read it in its entirety at least once and you understand it. If you have any questions, get in touch with support. And this is something Jeff says all the time. Look, if you're going to submit a file and you're not sure about something on the submission, use support. It's email based online. Jeff is there to help you and guide you through that. But do yourself a favor. Read the ebook first. Read the resources page first. Look through all that because most of the stuff is self-explanatory. No kidding. Daryl, how likely are duplicate submissions from researchers? So Daryl, very unlikely. Let me tell you, the only place it happens, and this is why we keep bundles where you can only get Florida with bundles. Every once in a while we get it in Florida. And the reason we'll get it in Florida is Jeff actually did a screenshot. There are either 67 or 97. I think it's 67 counties in Florida. But he actually did 3 different example counties, screenshots. I mean, it's a coloring book, guys. When people have questions about Florida, we're like, come on. But it'll happen there occasionally because people see the 3 example counties and they just want to work those 3 example counties. And Florida has an odd, a different kind of setup with it where you can actually run into each other. Just work another county. If you really want to be productive in Florida, work counties that don't have their lists online. You get mortgage and tax overages easy. If they don't have the list online, contact them. Guys, they're happy to give you a list. Contact them. They'll give you that list. Some of them require you to send a self-addressed stamped envelope along with the check. Sometimes it has to be a money order. Some of them will actually email it to you. But that's a great trick. That's one of the most successful people in Florida that started out in Florida was doing that, going after counties that didn't have online lists. All right, I'm going to shorten this up a little bit, William. Do you send out the checks weekly, biweekly, monthly, or fully separate? William, the second I get a check and it cashes in my account on a flip, as soon as that attorney wires it into my account, because the investor I flip it to, is usually going to use a settlement company or an attorney. As soon as that comes into my account and I see it, I'm going to get in touch with you, and within 24 hours, you get a check from me. I don't care how many it is. I'm just going to send them out as I get them. I want it off my plate. I want it out. I want to know that I paid it, because the last thing I want is to miss a payment to somebody, because I hear about that online for the rest of my life, and I'm 56. I don't want that. Okay. Narendra worked on one case where excess funds $60K and tax foreclosed for $70K. And when I have added all the taxes for the past years, register of deeds, and it's still not adding up to excess funds amount posted online, should I be concerned? Narendra, did you get a list? Did you? This is really scaring me, the wording of this. Did you get a list of overages or surplus funds? That's what I don't understand why you would look at, I don't know why you would look at register of deeds to determine how much the overage is. You're looking at register of deeds or land records department to make sure there is an additional debt. This question is scaring me a little bit. That's scaring me more than a little bit. And your response was yes. If you go by the list, look, we're asking you to double check with the county or look at the age of the list as far as making sure that surplus funds is correct, right? And you send that in with your submission. So you're not looking at surplus funds amount at the register. You're looking to see if there's additional debt that would be entitled to it instead of the owner, in which case don't send it in, right? I mean, if there's 50 grand in an overage, and there's a creditor out there that's entitled to $100,000 who has an unsatisfied mortgage or equity line or code enforcement lien, whatever the heck it is, or IRS tax lien that you see, if you happen to be able to see that, something like that, if they're entitled to 100, then we drop it. We can't go after it, right? The owner can't get the money, and the IRS isn't going to work with us. Yes, Narendra, you got it. You're all set. But yeah, you just threw me off on your wording. Again, not trying to make fun of you. It's just that, guys, we have to be very specific in our wording. I'm going to check question and answer real quick because somebody used it. Question from Bruce. I have a surplus fund. And Bruce, do me a favor. I'm responding to you. I know it's taken, but you're using the question and answer instead of the chat. I told everybody to use chat. I have a surplus funds claimant in California, and they are prepared to move forward. However, they are uncomfortable signing the power of attorney. What would you advise? Thanks. So, Bruce, we don't run into this with people having a problem signing the power of attorney to an attorney, not to us. The other guys are using assignments and powers of attorneys to themselves. Good luck. Sometimes the county will send the check out made out to the claimant to you and go, "Hey, you got a power of attorney for him? Then obviously you can cash the check. Here you go. Have fun." I get that a lot. That's like every 2 weeks I get somebody going, "What do I do? I can't cash a check." And they inadvertently, they always bought somebody else's program. They're not using a structured buyout, and they're not using a power of attorney to an attorney. Use the daggone system. So besides a power of attorney, Bruce, to an attorney, not you, you've gotta do a structured buyout to make sure that you're falling in compliance. You don't fall under finder caps, and you don't make mistakes with that. You don't even fall under the finder laws with that. So as far as advising that, we just don't have that problem because we use a structured buyout. Our system is set up so that isn't an issue for us. All right, let's go back to chat. No, Narendra, sorry, I didn't mean I was scared. I was like, oh my gosh, does she know what she's doing here? I get what you meant later. It's just the wording threw me off a little bit. My bad. So, Bruce, if you can let me, by the way, Bruce, are you the guy that's been trying to do a deal with me where it was a California claimant? And we've gone back and forth on text, and I told you I do not work with anybody that didn't buy my program that isn't a member. A couple of reasons for that, guys. Those of you guys that are new, you're looking around, you're like, oh, maybe I could do a deal with Sean or a joint venture and not have to buy his program. No, I only work with people that purchase our program because I know they're trained. I know the system we've got in place works. Okay. And besides knowing that they know what the heck they're doing if they actually follow the ebook, it's not fair for me to work with somebody who didn't buy and pay for the knowledge. It's just not. I'm not going to do that. And I get this a lot where people go, "Oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm very good at what I'm doing, and I don't have an issue, and I'm really greatly successful." And I'm like, "So you don't want to spend the $500 on the ebook, and you're this huge success? Come on, guys." It covers the cost of us starting you up. Also, look, I may already have the file. Some people do this a lot. They'll call me, "I've got this deal. I might have the file turned in." So what's going to happen if you buy my ebook for one deal to turn that into me, right? Because you're pegging all 3,200 counties, right? And you're pegging everything on this one deal. Come on. You're pegging everything on that one deal. And then if it's in my list, I've got to pay the member that submitted it because I'm already working it. So plus, if you negotiate and you negotiate a percentage that isn't going to cover our expenses, I can't take it. So if you guys haven't purchased our ebook and you're trying to do a joint venture thing, I don't do that. I work with members. Our programs teach you how to do it on your own. The national surplus pays you 8% of gross. If it's a $50,000 overage, that's $4,000. The Premier 16 requires that in addition to researching debt, you got to find the people and have a conversation and make sure you got the right guy and then want to speak with us. That pays 16% of gross. So those are my options. I don't do hybrid splits. I'm not going to screw my members. And let me tell you something else. Jeff and I, all we work is deals sent in by the members. We made that decision when we first launched the National Surplus Fund Program. We said, look, we can't compete against these guys. We got to stop going into courthouses. We got to stop not going into courthouses, but getting lists from courthouses, right? We got to stop doing this because the last thing we want to do is compete with you. I'm not going to do that. All right. Star, greetings, Mr. Bucci. I recently purchased the Power Play bundle. I'm grateful. Thank you. Hey, you're very welcome, Star. I remember your purchase. Wasn't that long ago. Lou, regarding turning in one at a time when I start out, I signed up for the 50/50 program for the skip tracing assistance, but I'm limited to requesting 12 skip tracing names as a minimum. No, Lou, read your book. It says 25, right? How should I start making my skip tracing request? It's in the ebook, Lou. Listen, guys, I got to say this. People ask me questions all the time that are covered right in the ebook. Tells you how to do it. Resources page also tells you how to do stuff. I'm gonna lead you back to the ebook or the resources page. Again, guys, Jeff and I took a lot of time and effort and put money into putting the systems into place. We really need you to read them. We're not trying to be jerks by making you read the ebook. It's because there's zero fluff in it. And if we answered questions that are already answered in the ebook all the time, we would never get anywhere. William, thank you for the clarity. If I remember correctly, you said you all work with the program purchasers SO. Thank you for the clarity. This is from William. If I remember correctly, you said you all will work with the program purchases SO, purchasers SO. What is that? Guys, don't. I actually did a video recently on YouTube, right? Everybody wants to talk in vernacular. Everybody wants to use the, forget it. Look, I'm around people that own their own companies that make a stupid amount of money all the time. We're just buddies. We don't sit around and go, so herewith, I think what we're going to do. And we don't use abbreviated, right? Or we don't use any of that. We just, I need you guys to be clear. Not making fun, I promise you. William, I did buy your programs. I'm just now freeing up time. Awesome. Jeff, will there be any course sales for the 4th of July? So here's what happened, Jeff. Jeff and I had to make a decision. We used to have sales during certain times of the year and all that. We're never going to go down on the current prices, especially for the flagship programs, National Surplus, Premier 16, Deed Flip, National Deed Flip, and Deed Flip 30, that type of thing. We're never going down on the price on that. But in order to keep the price where it's been, we can't have sales. We're at the minimum. We charge enough to defray the cost of starting you. Support and the items that we do on our end, if you're going to partner with us, we need to defray that cost. It still blows my mind that people spend $2,000 on somebody else's course and they don't even have a partnership option. I can't believe that. Is there a software tool you can use to get not just a list, but a source that does the lien check for you? So, Diana, I always have attorneys do the lien check at the last minute. If you're talking about mortgages and that type of thing, it's really easy to do title work online with the Registered Deeds of Land Records Department, and we teach you how to do that. If you're trying to get out of doing that, I'm just telling you, hey, there's a certain point where, what exactly is it you do here? You guys need to do that. It doesn't take a lot of time. And once you've done the first 3 or 4, all of a sudden the light bulb goes off and you go, got it. Okay. Significant other, William. If I did buy your program, so what was your question? You said you will work with the program's purchase. So here's the deal, William. Good question. Great question. Okay. Here's what we do. We're going to respond with email support only to the email address you used to buy. So if you're going to, we have plenty of people that are husband-wife teams, wife and son, whatever. You got to use that email. Also, there's a part in there for the researcher name. Even though we can pay LLCs, whatever, when you do the independent contractor agreement, that's something you plug in. One name. I don't want to see your name and your wife's name on the as the researcher name. Just you guys choose a name. One person has to take responsibility for it. Also, we had an issues before where it was 2 guys got together. They had been partners forever. They ended up breaking up their LLC, and this is back when we said it was okay to use individual names. And then one was arguing this was his deal, and the other guy was arguing that was the deal. And it got to the point where we literally said, okay, guys, you got 3 days to figure it out, or we're going to take these 3 more checks we got for you, and we're going to put them in the North Carolina unclaimed funds money, and y'all can figure it out from there. I don't care. So we changed. I know that sounds rough, but guys, we don't have time for this garbage. So we changed the way we do it. It has to be one researcher name. Now I can pay a company or a researcher, and you do not have to have a company to work with us, but it has to be one name, and one person has to take responsibility for this stuff. The other thing is, obviously, like some people have scaled this up and they're sending stuff in, and it's people underneath them where they've trained them just to do that one little research piece, and they'll turn that into us. I'm not cutting checks to them. They're under you. So I can't cut checks to 20 different people for one purchase. That's crazy. I like zero fluff. Thank you, Amani. Hey, Narendra, to be more specific about my question for overages programs, when I submit 3 files for Premier, should I start over for National Surplus, assuming the chain and title is the same for both? Here's the deal, Narendra. Guys, you got to listen to this. So if you guys have got, and I get it, you got the Premier 16 program, which pays 16% gross, but requires you contact the people. And you got the National Surplus program, you don't have to contact the people, pays 8%. The way people are gaming the system is they'll get a file, and first they'll look and see if they can touch the people. And if they can't, they'll turn it in as a National Surplus Funds program. If they can get up with them, they'll turn it in as a Premier 16. They won't turn it in if they haven't reached them. That's the way you game the system. If you turning it as a Premier 16, and then you can't get a hold of them, we're not dropping it back to the national surplus. That's up to you to find them. So the only way to game the system, so to speak, is if you have both programs, try to reach them. If you can't, turn it in as a, national surplus. I'm sorry. If you can, and they're willing to speak with us and you got the right guy, turn it in as a Premier 16. They'll do the initial turn in for Premier 16. Now you're taking a risk. Somebody else might turn the file in as a national surplus funds file while you're trying to find them as a Premier 16. So you gotta, you gotta know how good you are at that, and keep that in mind when you're doing it. Guys, we have hit the end. It's 8:30. Narendra, that was really a good question, and I'm sorry if I offended you earlier. I wasn't trying to be derogatory or anything. But anyway, guys, great questions tonight. Man, thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate that. The replay will be on YouTube on Mr. Deed Flip, also Surplus Funds Riches, all one word. If you haven't bought already, get to it, surplusfundsriches.net. Go there and click on products. That'll take you right through. I appreciate the interaction tonight, and I hope you guys have a great night.